This is, of course, the great gamer 1745 here, but you knew that already because, hey, who else would be streaming on this channel? A few other people once in a while, but not likely that often. And we are going to be playing some Hearts of Iron for Black Ice here. And yes, for once, it looks like we're starting out without any issues with the stream. That is nice. I've been testing things here. That is nice. All right. Well, I'm putting an ad over on Rumble. Yes, you can also check out my Rumble channel. What do I think about Rumble? In some ways, Rumble is a freer place to stream. Generally freer for political things. I think even more prudish than YouTube. But it's hard to navigate. But I think it's really good that there are alternatives to YouTube. So yay for Rumble being there, and I'm on it just in case. Well, just in case, or for the when they finally decide to cancel me. I've been close to it several times. Cancellation. And hello, Ari. And Eric. Hello, Eric, over on. And I'm doing well. I hope you are over on Twitch. And of course, Ragar is also over on Twitch. Very good. So we're definitely going to be playing some Hearts of Iron and not just blathering on about other things, but I'm just watching all of my metrics here to see if we were going to have a problem, and it doesn't look like it. It doesn't look like we're going to have a problem. That's good. All right. Opening up the Coke. I thought it was going to be a while before opening it up, but I'm doing it now. Let's see. So far, yes. 2 Europeans and an American have shown up and said hi. Oh, that's good. Got a big haul of Krag parts yesterday. Gun shop was scrapping 5 Krag, so I hopped in and snagged all the parts I could for cheap. Well, excellent, excellent. That is most excellent indeed. Okay, Ragar. I got horribly murdered when I played as Chai Com. First, Japan created created China puppet with a province I needed for steel and industry. Then Russia created the same. Thus, I had to conquer China 3 times. Now you're in a war with Poland that conquered Russia. Wow. I'm guessing that this is Hearts of Iron and not EU or Victoria or whatever, with the Chai Com part. And is it a mod? I thought the days of things like Poland conquering Russia were over for Hearts of Iron, unless it's some mod that's radically unbalancing the game. What is it? Right? Gamer, which one do you prefer, the Frankish Empire or the Eastern Roman Empire? Byzantine. Well, before we get starting with an episode, that's an interesting question. I am, generally speaking, pro-Western. Sometimes that is literally the compass direction, but obviously Australia and New Zealand are nowhere near the West. You know, so generally, and when the Frankish Empire, I'm guessing you're referring to Charlemagne, Charles the Great, kind of thing. No, it's Armada just started fighting, and oh God, for anyone out there, you know, and I'll get back to yes, okay, yeah, Charlemagne's group. Um, anyone out there, say, fix the game, it's broken. Fix the game, it's broken. Okay. And yes, this is a game and not reality, but it is a game set in reality, shall we say. It isn't a simulation, I know that. But there is no conceivable condition in which I could see, maybe, if you're playing a standard sort of game starting in 1936, and it doesn't matter what if you're in 1946 or something by now, fine, but I can't see a conceivable game that Poland could defeat the Soviet Union. Even if Germany's peaceable, even if somehow, you have, so the historical path unchecked, and Germany just go, yeah, peace, cool. In no conceivable way, because manpower and industry matter. And sure, you could have some great General Jan Sobieski III could have been reincarnated and somehow have modern knowledge of, tactics and aircraft and whatnot. It still ain't even going to come close to defeating the Soviet Union and the idea of taking it over. The only reason Finland, quote unquote, defeated the invasion, didn't defeat the Soviet Union. The only reason Finland defeated the invasion in the Winter War was because the Soviet Union was afraid of intervention from Germany. Not afraid from the Western Allies. I mean, that was there. Now, tactically, yeah, the Finns were great in the winter and all that stuff, yes, and the Soviets had killed off their officer corps and and some of their NCO corps, and those that remained were afraid for their lives. Yes, all that is going on, but Russia could have just simply waited around for the snows to melt and continued the invasion. They had enough manpower. They could have halted the offensive and continue not negotiated and just waited. And because I don't think adding more, practically maybe air power, but beyond air power, adding more to that front was going to do any better, just because that front was so clogged up logistically as it was. So I'm not trying to knock, Finn's capability or other things, but it was. Are we going to be in a, are we going to weaken other fronts? Or because they're still worried about Japan, because Caulk and Gall happens, back in what is it, 36, 37, somewhere like that. And yeah, that isn't like, a hotbed front right now, but they're still worried about the Japanese way out there. They're worrying about the Russian, or I mean the Germans, and they're worried maybe the Allies are going to continue to support the Finns, and so there are it's other concerns that gets them to um, you know put a pause on it. Let's see, Ragar says France, Poland ship managed to maul Germany because Germany made some mistake. Then Poland got German industry. Yeah. Okay, it went from 99% implausible to 90% implausible with that. But still, it just wouldn't, it just practically wouldn't be. So this is why I say the game is still broke, because yes, I could see in theory like France, Britain, France, Britain, Czechoslovakia going to war over the Sudetenland, and I could see again in theory Poland coming in, and I could even see Romania maybe coming in, maybe not at that stage, especially if we're talking 37, 1937 or so, 1937, 38. So yeah, but still, but taking out the Soviet Union, I just because I'll get to Aries' question here in a moment. Yes, Germany, a beaten Germany, a lot of Germans would be willing to work in the factories. Yes, sure. Um, and if if an early, an early again 36 to 38 time frame, Germany not heavily remilitarized, I could see it collapsing before its industry is destroyed. It not suffering huge amounts of bombing and not having, you know, because remember, however bad you want to say, and it was very bad in Stalingrad, the Battle of Berlin was just about as bad for the Soviets in loss of life in taking it, and obviously for the Germans too. That was, I've heard one, and I could be really wrong if somebody wants to look this up. One estimation that not for the overall sort of push to Berlin, the Soviets lost something like 1 million men. That seems way too high, but that's coming to mind here. Not just battling in Berlin, but in Berlin in the sort of immediate theater, not the whole sort of central front, but that But I could see it collapsing before then. But even then, Poland just does not have the manpower, and the Russians, they might love not being Stalinist and overthrowing your Stalinist regime, but they're not going to sign up for Poland being the new overpower. Now, maybe a super Poland state, the rebirth of what was at one point, Poland, Lithuania, sort of irrelevant, but sort of Ukraine and Belarus, yeah, something like big like that. But to then have them fighting something out here, Chicom, this, are you ever going to attack Poland? Yes, but probably not in 1939. D Green. Back to Aries' question. What ifs in history are really cool. That's why I love playing war games and whatnot. And if we look back at the Frankish Empire under Charlemagne, and the Eastern Roman Empire, or Byzantine, or Byzantium, or however you want to label it. If we don't go through the historical path we that did, we wouldn't end up, and this is more than just the butterfly effect, we wouldn't end up with where we are today. Okay. I almost went down another rabbit hole, but I'm going to refrain from that. So now, which do I prefer? Like I was saying earlier, I'm a pro-Western person. I believe the Latin culture, um, and this is, for those of you who may be new around here with me, I am a culturalist, not a racist. I know there's, obviously you can see physical differences in racial groups, but I don't really care about that. That isn't, because I'm an American, I see Americans being very American with different racial groups. I also see people here in America of the same racial group being very different from each other. And I'm talking like Japanese, pure blood Japanese that are third generation American versus a Japanese person off the airplane, that's been here. And not just that they speak Japanese, the way they walk, literally the way they walk. Americans walk different from just about anybody else on the planet. Sort of a looser gait. But you watch the way Japanese walk, and Japanese walk different than Vietnamese, and Japanese walk different than Chinese, and they're different from each other. It's very interesting if you watch people and see how they move, and so they and so that is something that is not entirely physical, because again I'm talking about comparing two groups or two persons that are of the same genetics. Hello, Arno. But I am a culturalist, and in large groups, I will value some cultures over others. The Latin culture, I believe, is better. I think that's maybe than the Greek culture. I see that in the Greek culture develops rather well. But then we can see the Romans, the Latins, being exposed to it. Now, they're exposed to it long before the Roman Republic gets anywhere near Greece, because there are, Syracuse is a Greek colony. There are Greek colonies on the Italian peninsula. So long before Rome is a republic, when it's still a monarchy, before the Etruscans take it over for a few generations, they're being exposed to Greek culture. And I do firmly believe that the Roman gods, like Neptune and Poseidon, are two different gods, and not just one renaming the other, one coming from another origin. I do believe the Romans very much have and you can see this, not, you were here for World War II, you didn't know you were going to get classical thought, or Gamer's idea of classical thought. Not just with the Greeks, but you often see, your god, that is equivalent of our god, and we're going to make a temple of, Neptune, Poseidon, or whatever, meaning like two sea gods or something, sort of like, they're doing part of this as a propaganda ploy, in that, hey, yeah, it's the same god, you just call it by another name idea. I do think it's both propaganda, and I think there's some real justification. This is sort of what is what one of the things I point at Roman culture or Latin culture. I do believe over time, and again, it's a slow process over hundreds of years, but I do believe there is a certain amount of absorbing Greek mythos stories and applying them to pre-existing gods in the Latin world. So it's not just borrowing from others, but the Romans have this ability of, and we can see it clearly in often with the Greek and Roman contact, but we can see it sometimes, particularly in the Roman legions, with the Roman legions adopting a lot of Gallic or Celtic weaponry and helmets that you would think right off the bat, oh, that's a Roman, an early, not the late, you see, with the big sort of broom fin thing on the crest on the helmet. No, I'm not talking about like that on the Centurion. I'm talking about sort of if you look at the Roman Republic's legion, sort of that helmet is sort of a Gallic or Celtic, however you want to term it, helmet that the Romans adopt. And the Romans adopt a lot of things from the Celts. Now, they probably adopt more, but we don't have a lot of, Celts didn't have a proper written language. They were very oral culture. So when we see stuff looking later on, we don't know whether it's the Celts adopted it from the Romans or the Romans adopted it from the Celts or whatever. Was Charlemagne really West? The government was based. Yeah, well, it was more West than Byzantine. Okay, Constantinople, center of the Byzantine power. He's, Poland is more West. And to my knowledge, the Franks were maybe speaking a Germanic language, maybe, with a Latin educated, sort of the monks and priests kind of people were speaking Latin. So that would be Latin culture. So that would be more West than Byzantium. And this Aries really gotten thing off. Hey, Arno over on YouTube. So the Greeks don't seem to adopt too much from other cultures. They don't seem as... And Alexander sort of tries to do some of this stuff. And so I really see the Romans, with a cultural center of their own, and they're more Western, but also absorbing more. It's sort of Darwinian, if you will. Absorb the things that are useful and good and make them our own. And keep, what is successful. Because we can look at, Alexandria and other cases of the cities where the Greeks. So Byzantium is more Eastern or Greek than you're going to find with the Frankish Empire. But this is all post-apocalyptic. And I mean that literally. I don't mean that figuratively. I mean this is post-apocalyptic world that's going on out here. This is, and depends, just where the borders are. This is the remnant of civilization. Okay. It is preserving some of Rome. It is preserving a lot of what was Greek. Has absorbed some Easternness. Christianity is, in its core form, is Easternist. In its, I'm talking core form, which core Christianity is what? Judaism. Jesus was a Jew. Christianity comes out of Judaism. Judaism is more Eastern than, and it's culturally too. Culturally, the way things would look, more Eastern than Greek culture, more Eastern than Latin culture. But it has, by this point, adopted the Roman element of universality. It's gone from a tribal viewpoint to a universal viewpoint. That is a Western influence into Christianity. If his empire was survivable, it would. Oh, Rhaegar, my understanding on Charlemagne is he specifically divides it up amongst his 3 sons. And that is the sort of more Central European idea of equal division of land amongst your male children, as opposed to the more Western English or Anglo-Norman or whatever idea of giving all of it to your eldest son and then finding other things for your other sons to do. He specifically splits up his empire, I think, as a thing. And then, of course, they ended up fighting over each other. Due to succession laws, that was the case in Europe for a long time. Yeah, he could easily declare a successor who was right to continue as emperor. Well, Rhaegar, yeah, he could, but could he? I don't know. I'm not there. You say he could. Yeah, he could get up on his throne and say something like, our next ruler will be a woman, this woman over here, because she's the best leader we have. And all the people would go, Charlemagne's got insane. Let's cut his head off and kill that woman before she does anything. She must be a witch or something like that. Okay, he could say something so radically insane that everybody in the room would go, what are you talking about? The toad is going to rule us, and if he hops to the left, we're going to do it, that's yes, and if he hops to the right, it's no. Now, okay, so I don't know. Culturally, I just don't know, and I'll readily admit things. I just don't know how culturally it would have gone down to say this one is my heir, the other 2 are not. Now, if it was, and hello, Arno over on Rumble, if it was so clear, so clear that the other 2 were like, sitting over their corner drooling, like Alexander the Great's half brother, had some sort of, historians speculate, some sort of mental problems, as like maybe almost dying as a child or something, but his wasn't. He I don't know. I don't literally know if he could tie his own shoes. But if they're drooling over in the corner and barking like dogs or something, yeah, everybody would agree that the one that's with it is going to be that. So I don't know how culturally, it may have been just a minor blip if he did that. It may be at the time for the people, it may be a big impactful thing. I just don't know. And hello, the Bear Jew 501. How you doing? Good to have you here. So, I really have to look at the world. I did call this post-apocalyptic over here, the Frankish Empire. I'm going to stay out of any sort of real mystical talk here because I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, so I'm not going to go down that. But Revelations do seem to have got things pretty damn right in the Bible. And if you don't know, if you don't understand, the world came to an end. There was war. There was pestilence. I presume there was famine, and I forget the other of the four horsemen of the apocalypse. But the world came to an end. Just like it was, not maybe in detail prescribed or described in Revelations, but it came to an end. And then we came to a Christian era afterwards, just like it said in Revelations. Because the medieval world, at least in Europe, was Christian. So it was. Now, if we adjust, because we are having political turmoil in America right now, if somebody were to say, if this happens, it'll be the end of America, and everybody would go, yeah, this better not happen, it'll be the end of America. It doesn't mean that if Trump gets elected, I think it'll be a good thing if Trump gets elected, but if they say, if Trump gets elected, it'll be the end of America, and so he gets elected and then all America just falls, goes under the sea and disappears and everyone dies. No, that's not what it meant. And it was the end of what we would call the Roman world. It was the end of the civilized world. So the apocalypse has come and gone. So Christians that are waiting around for talking about when the apocalypse is going to come, it's already happened, people. It's happened. So in that sense, to me, Byzantium is the pocket of civilization that is surviving. It is hanging on until the Turks finally tear it down. And we can see one of the things is good about civilization is also its weakness. It's civilized. It's city. It's comfortable. It has indoor plumbing, for God's sake, they didn't really have electricity, a few electric stuff out there, but, I think they had electroplating, but I'm not sure on that. We know that there's things covered like in gold, but was it electroplated or covered in some other thing? But I don't know. So, it's civilized, and yeah, some guys are going to be lift that big thing and move it over there and lift the other big thing and move it back. And so there are going to be some strong people with strong backs, and, there's going to be some people that are, trained in warfare, how to swing a sword, that kind of thing. But you get a lot of soft people because, hey, it's civilized. And then you got a lot of barbarians. And if you get all the good soft males together, match them up with all the barbarians that are hard and tough, you sort of understand how you're going to see the barbarians can win. So that which is good about civilization is also that which is bad, or one of the things. Is there a focus which gives you a bonus for getting the Tiger 1 early, and the same for the FW90? Yes, there have been. I know, Arno, we haven't even started the war yet. Arno's already on, been going on and on about the Tiger. Yes, there are some bonuses here. So that can do that, and we're going to be taking a look at what to get playing. So for me, Byzantium has some of the negative elements of Easternness, but is that sort of Candle in the Darkness. Hmm. I'm just thinking of things that I shouldn't be bringing up. I don't think you would understand. I think about things, and when I talk to some people who I have reason to believe that they might sort of get it, because they do get some of the stuff, I find remarkable ignorance. So, I don't know. This is maybe post the Christian era that happened after, uh, you know, the Christian era that happened after the apocalypse. This is maybe post Christianity. One thing that there is definitely an early Jewish element of, and this is, if you don't know, Romans, particularly when they buried their dead, they cremated them, they burned them. Jews did not. This is why the catacombs under Rome have a Jewish origins. Though of course Christians pick up, because Jews do have the idea of, I and it's been years since I've talked. One of my Jewish friends, a bit later in his life, he started digging into Judaism more than just basic practice, but looking at its deep history. And I was talking to him. We used to take, part of a group and used to take long road trips together, so we would go deep on some of these subjects. So the Jewish religion over time changes, changes over time. But there is, my understanding, the idea of a universal resurrection of Jews, and this is why they bury their dead. And even though they're just going to be bones, that is at some point that they will be resurrected and made whole again and like live on forever. But in the intervening, in my understanding again, and God, I'm not, I'm again talking about things I know actually very little about, but a sort of an idea that sort of you're asleep, if you will, or uh, suspended, meaning you're not experiencing, um, between the now of dying and the then of resurrection. You're not like in a heaven or hell. You're just sort of in a state that you're waiting for um, eventual universal resurrection, and that's again why they bury their dead. Um, they do have ossuaries where they sort of wait for the body to decompose and then put them into bone boxes too, but it varies. Um, and it may be regional and it may be different times, because Judaism is very old and things change over times and get influenced by other religions. Um, the Romans very much, I think, on their own, and we, the modern world, have very much, the modern Western world, maybe I should say, um, have very much adopted this idea of linearism. I know gamers going off on all kinds of things. Hello, Nico. How you doing? Invasion. Yes, I know. We're late. We haven't even started playing yet, and Ari and others are getting me off topic. In the modern world, we believe in a beginning, middle, and end. Modern people have adopted the religious idea of creation of the universe. I know there was a TV series called The Big Bang Theory, Well, the Big Bang Theory is a religious theory. It was put forth by a Catholic priest who was also, at night, an astronomer. But he was at day an active Catholic priest. He's the one that comes up with the Big Bang Theory. And they've, quote unquote, proven it with monitoring some sort of, I don't want to call them radio waves, but waves in space. And then sort of they believe between redshift, blue shift, whatnot, that they think the universe, including the galaxies, are more spreading out from each other as opposed to contracting or staying in there. And so we've adopted this linearism that there's a beginning, middle, and end to everything, as opposed to what had been the sort of scientific theory of the steady state universe, meaning it's always been here and it will always be here. There is no heat death of the universe. It will constantly be renewing, constantly be existing. It is a never-ending thing, which I don't know which is true because I'm not that old. I know people say that I'm old. So, but I'm not really that old. So we've adopted, and the Romans very much looked, seeing the idea of founding of Rome and going through, that it's linear and not steady state or not cyclical. That's another one. I know some people that are cyclical types, including even in the great scheme of things, meaning the universe expands way out. It's super expanded, and then it starts to contract, and it contracts into one solid whatever that then gets too compressed down, and then it explodes back in another big bang. So expansion and contraction, big bang after big bang. And that would be a cyclical as opposed to a linear. But if to me, if you're a Big Bang believer, not a cyclical Big Bang believer, you've got to believe in a cause for the Big Bang, which I think one of the most logical one, of course, it would be a god or some sort of, I don't know if I want to call it a being, but an entity or something that would cause this thing to happen. But yeah, so I, you know, I think, Ari, you're looking at, if you're looking at the sort of Roman/Christian view of things, it's very linear in view, and it's all going to come to an end. It's like, I remember, I'm not going to mention the one sort of talking head personality that said this, but many have said it. In the end, the good guys win. In the end, we just got to hang on. In the end, we win. Well, there very well may be a heat death of the universe, so a beginning, middle, and end of the universe, and go on scientifically. But I don't believe in the end. In the end, we win. No, it's an ongoing whatever. There is no end. For a practicality of human history, there is no end. There is no, well, in the end, we'll defeat communism. Well, we might, but it's not the end. It's just things keep coming up and keep going on. It's very deep that we don't know the half of it. Oh God, yeah, Nico. Uh, I I am not claiming to have a lot of great answers here. I'm proposing, like when I say, steady state of the universe, and I didn't come up with these things. Steady state of the universe, or the Big Bang and linear, or expansion and contraction. That these are other people's thoughts, and I'm not saying that any one of them is true. I'm probably thinking the evidence is most likely that it's the Big Bang, and then what causes it comes down to, and could we know it? Yeah, there's so much that we don't know. And I'm not claiming to know or claiming to tell you. I'm just describing different people's thoughts on it and how I'm interpreting what I'm studying, I guess would be a good term. Right. Shall we get to some Hearts of Iron here now? 42 minutes into the live stream and actually get to it. Well, let's get one more thing from Ari, and then we'll try to stick to the game here. I mean, there will be an end, but what happens is unknown to see, again, I don't know that I believe that there will be an end. I mean, an end to me personally here, yes. I mean, we don't live forever, unfortunately, but whether who wins or loses, it is only a matter of trust reality from my well, your understanding. Okay, well, that's how you understand things. Yes, I get that, Ari. That's how you understand them, and I'm not saying you're wrong. Well, I don't think you're right in that there's going to be an end, but I think that. Okay, so now we're going to get back to Hearts of Iron. Let me just. And Nico doesn't believe there's an end. Yeah, and so that that's. Like in the end, the good guys win. No, they often don't. And I can look at history and tell you times that they don't. Oh, but the Soviet Union's gone. Yeah, so is the Mongol Empire, and so are Carthage, and so after, with most metrics, so the Roman Empire is gone too. I mean, and is modern day China just the old Ming Empire or whatever the continuing, or is that long gone and this is just something else? So things go through. I don't know where you get that 100 years thing. I'm talking with a guy recently, and we'll be talking more to him. He believes that it's 12,500 years is the cycle, but that's his viewpoint. Okay. Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745. And why hasn't the war started? Oh my God, we're a month late. One whole month late, and there's no war yet. Yes, we're not ready for the war. The Führer, Mr. Hitler, Mr. Mustache himself, wasn't ready for the war in 1939. We are going to come in a slightly more prepared. Roman of the greatest civilization in the world just vanished. Well, yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier, Nico. Okay, strategic redeployment and backhand blow. Fire brigades, that's 1940. Just got the backhand blow. I think we also got the strategic redeployment. Let's grab this. This is the other one here that limited what slots we can pick, which I do like the idea of it. Special forces. This one, I think. No, I'm joking. It says in the history books, lucky the good guys won every single time. Yeah. Yeah, that, of course, is an element of he who writes the history, the victors write the history. So Is that too much? Probably a bit, but we're going to be increasing our military production. Just got a bunch more power, I think. So we're going to probably start the war in spring 1940, maybe very early spring, late winter. Okay, how much do we have? Okay, land fort level 3. That's probably going to be enough. Let's get motorized Deutschland. Okay, this is also, I've been waiting for something like this to happen. Notice here. Everybody who's watching, I'm still exploring this most updated version of Black Ice because they've changed a whole lot of stuff. So if you're watching this, you're sort of, well, or maybe you already know some of this stuff, learning it from history. So this will get Federer von Bach, Good von Rundstedt, and Wilhelm Witter, or Wilhelm Witter von Lieb. We'll get promotions here. We have enough. Oh, like I was saying, I haven't been having any of that. So we're going to do this. Yes. Yes. Okay, now. So I really wasn't wanting to use Karl Egsler or Hermann Hick as our commanders. Now this is going to be too big. So what we're going to do is, and there's von Bach, I think. Yes, so we're going to replace him. Infantry divisions, right. Okay. Yodel, we'll replace him. Okay, so he can currently only command 2 or 4 let's move him here and then come here and get von Bach as his. Gonna take a while to get there to command that, and we're gonna move this to a new theater. Front, bullet tap, and you down here. There we go. Okay, that's getting 3 down here. Okay, well, let's come back up here to let's create a new armored 4 of you. Or armored. Or armor. Mobile. And where is he? Where is he? Who do I want to do? I did like the Hearts of Iron 3 command structure better, but at least we have one now. These guys are sort of destined for higher administrative command von Kleissetz. That's 35, yeah. Yeah, well, we got 3 last time, but 450, but we will get von Kleist here. Okay, so that we're going to just move him to there, get him out from under him, and well, von Lieb really probably should be commanding in the west, but he's the garrison guy. We're going to also move him to there just to get out. Okay, so now that's 4. Let's get all of his and move them north up the Kiel. Remember those promotions were after France. I might be wrong. Okay, the big celebration, and I think Gerd von Rundstedt was a field marshal, I think, before the start of the war. I think. I don't know about von Bock, but I'm pretty sure von Lieb and a bunch of the other ones were the big ceremony that happened after France. You're right. So, yeah, it's not perfect. I'm going with just it's not perfect. But I just don't, the command power to put all of them up individually is a bit much. So, we'll do that. And we now have more military factories. Okay. Are we not producing any infantry guns? Artillery point mover. Okay. Light vehicles we're sort of catching up on. Recon equipment, motorcycles. Okay. Now that, I believe, is just because we spammed out the Großdeutschland regiment that is taking a bit of a hit there. Motorization, I think. Infantry guns, do we not produce any? No, I don't. I just want to look. Anti-tank. Oh no, we are producing. Okay, we're producing. Well, I guess it's just more damn horse transport that I'm constantly dumping. There's a lot, Nico. I mean, a major thing is you no longer you produce steel from coal and iron. And you also need to, the big limiting factor on how many factories and whatnot are running is how much power you're producing here. Okay, we can synthetic fuel. We have 2 more slots for synthetic fuel, which we use up coal, which we have a lot of, and electricity, which will get used up with that. So there's a lot. It's massively the economy, but there's other things that are going on. Okay, flak defenses. Okay, so we've got all the flak defenses we can do now. We can't do that until we're at war. Another war. Synthetic refineries, fuel silos. Also, food is in the game now, and it will go bad over time. You can do things to... okay, we're going to do 32 days. Get a synthetic rubber refinery. There's a lot of changes going on. Okay, we now have... go to Deutschland Motor Regiment. Oh, this still even needs more transport. God damn. It's to be a motorized unit, I thought, but whatever. Okay. Let's we'll attach it to Guderi and we'll move it down to here. Ausrücken! Lots and lots of stuff. Okay. And so I am very unsure of how our food's going to do. I'm very unsure of how electricity is going to, am I building enough of it? Am I building too much? We're right now using about 77% of our current production capability of electricity. Okay, and let's move you out. Okay, trade mission things with the Dominion of Canada. How nice. Excuse me. Okay. Let's see. Is there something we can spend air experience on right now? I don't know that there is. Now let's take a look, since I'm thinking of it, with our Air Force, looking to see our current surplus. So we have a lot of over 200 HE-51 fighters. We just have a single extra 109 right now. So, and a few of these Czech things, I believe that's what those are. And early Cass. Flying boats. Okay, so we have some heavy fighters. What I think we'll do here is, this might be a good place to do this. We're going to come down here and we'll start with that. those together in an air wing. I think they'll want to do 50 when they can. That's just going to be one air wing, I think, I hope. No, those are a bunch. Okay, bye-bye. And bye-bye. No. Disband. Okay, I think they'll just fill up with the extra there. I was hoping. Okay, so that will give us some bomber interceptors there. We want to sort of kind of control the Baltic, so let's go with some flying boats here. Okay, they're max 25, so we come here and also create another couple of wings of flying boats here. Okay. Netherlands caves to British pressure. What do we have insufficiently? Oh, insufficient rubber. That's because of the Netherlands are no longer trading with us. Well, good thing we've increased our some of our rubber, and we're doing more there. Well, I guess British Malaya here. We want to do Belgium. Maybe Belgium. But that is why we're doing some of this. As well as waiting for winter to get over. Right. We also need to look at... Okay, we're at partial mobilization. World tension is not high enough, or we need to be at war, so that seems reasonable. Key industries nationalized, foreign investors regulated, standing army. So if we do this, we're going to... This will take 30 days. Political power gain is down, obviously. Although a bunch of these things are in red, but it's still a lot better than, you know, what it is currently. So let's wait till December. Maybe if we can remember to do it in December. Training standards high, emphasis training extensive, state press, the state, high investment, high tariffs, okay, protected economy, average. Input, political power gain down, civilian factory construction speed, we're mostly going to military factories. Weekly stability, high taxes. I think we're going to wait for the war to actually start. 3-year draft, we're at this. Women allowed. Normal financial operations, yes, okay. Yeah, I don't think we're going to need coastal defenses. I don't think the AI will do an invasion, Arno. If I was playing against humans, I would definitely have a few more up here, just because sneaky, stupid humans do things. But of course, I could be wrong. We will see if the AI does sneaky things. Hmm. Well, let's spend that on the research there. Um, yeah, I understand. Yeah, oh no, I understand, Arno. I'm just sort of relying that they're not going to use it, or they're not. I'm not going to need to. Now, I was criticized for some of my infantry text not being up to date, or I don't know if criticized is the right word, but hey, you should do it. Now, I obviously know what an MP38 and an MP40 is. Um, what I don't know right offhand here, I don't really want to edit this. No, I don't want symbols back. I don't want to deploy. I just want to look at. Yeah. Okay, so see, I don't see the submachine gun being used in my templates right now. Is my point, or my. I don't know if I've not. Oh, we can do a few more here. Okay, a couple more Totenkopf standards or regiments. Um, yeah, division. Because I do know over here we need to activate these into some units here. Okay, well, we now have enough radios for support battalions, and we'll also do infantry battalions. So I don't know that I need to update that. Displays from different YouTubers. Arno watches other YouTubers than myself. Oh my god. Oh my god. Um, just wanted to, okay, yeah. I mean, obviously we have the one up there. Um, at Willem's Hell of it. Yes, you do. Well, good, good, Arno. Actually, I do want you to watch other YouTubers than myself because you can tell me when I'm doing things wrong, like not guarding the coast. Well, we'll see. We'll see if they invade. Okay, so here I think might be more useful text to research. And now one of the things, let everybody know, antique tank upgrade, we'll do that. Is I personally want to get my industry up and going. That has highest priority. And then as the war approaches, then yes, we have more and more need to get the, the fighting units ready to go. Excuse me. One thing I want to let everyone know about, and maybe I should say it at the beginning of an episode, but I've been putting out less episodes. And a little bit of it, honestly, can be put down to he has too many divisions. Let's unattach one of these. And let's attach him to here. A little bit of it could be put down to laziness, burnout, whatever you could say, a little bit of that. But quite honestly, the biggest reason is I've been noticing that when I release a video, and let's say this is, and I can follow it in the first 48 hours, there'll be a spike up here. And if this track is sort of standard time, there'll be a spike up here of views in the first like 2 or 3 hours, and then it'll go along. And then about the second day, but not right at the same time, there'll be another bigger spike, not maybe as tall as, when it first comes out, but it'll be a bigger sort of wave that literally 2/3 to 3/4 of the view will happen after the first 24 hours. And if I were to putting out every video, it would just get the first spike and then trickle down, first spike and then trickle down. But if I wait that time with no new Hearts of Iron videos out, I get this second wave. So instead of doing, say, about 200 views, I'll do about 600 views on a video. So I don't know what's going on. It's got to be something YouTube is doing that's causing this spike, and I just don't know. And it's been going on for a few months, so I've slowed up. Ideally, it would be like 3 videos of Hearts of Iron released a week, and sometimes it's just down at 2. Just things happen. But I don't understand why that's happening. I wish I had an answer why it has this weird wave. But the other thing I do want to let you all know, I remove about when you upload a video and before it's released, YouTube will come in and put commercials in the video. And yes, I want commercials in the video. One, YouTube promotes videos with commercials in it greater than they promote videos without commercials in it. But also, hey, I get to make some money. But I normally get rid of about half of the commercials to keep it down to what I think is a reasonable amount of commercials. They want to just spam in so many. So now once in a while, I will actually add one because they'll put like 2 or 3 commercials right at the beginning of the video in the first like 30 minutes. And it'll be an hour or an hour plus long. And they'll have like nothing in the trail. And so I sort of space them out and maybe add one for some weird reason. I don't know why they do that once in a while. But it happens. So once in a while I will actually add a commercial, but that's rarely happening. Hey Crispin, how you doing? And okay, so we are let's look something other than horse transport. We got radio equipment. We just did a bunch of those, so there you go. All the units. So we need more radios, more radios, more wirelesses. Where's radios on? There's radios on the thing. Synthetic rubber. Okay, we're in November still. Okay, so we can get VOMAG. Now that this, I think we needed to have Austria to have this. We will get 6 building slots with 3 engine factories, 1 tank assembly plant, blah, 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 blah. 1 tank assembly plant and 2 military factories for 32 days of time. Now that's a military factory and 4 tank assembly plants, but we'll do VOMAG. 2 military factories going in. Well, we're only 400 and some radios down. We're still sending a lot out to units, but okay, new 109s. Okay, the F fighter. Now, fighters are sort of the one thing here that I really think is worth making sure we have the latest versions. Some of the others I'm not so worried about. Yeah, let's throw in another one of radios. Where did radio there? And which slot here? Here we are. Okay, aircraft slot. Well, is there a okay, 39. For more aces. We're gonna go with more formation flying. But we can spend this to do that faster. And then even more. Okay, so, well, okay, so we have more radios in production than before. Just by a couple of more factories, but we'll catch back up to that fairly quickly, it looks like, but we want an excess. We're developing somewhat of an excess of tanks. More heavy fighters would be nice. So let's do that. Let's actually do that. More 110s. I like the 110. And what do we need more aluminium, as the English would say. And yeah, let's do that. Okay, there we go. Now this negative of bauxite is fine. Food for, no, God, no. I'm not selling any more of our food. That's bad, don't do that. Is fine because although it's negative, we're still producing enough aluminum to meet our needs. So some of those negatives are not, you know, a bad thing. They're just a thing. Kingdom of seeks to purchase German vessels. Received 1 factory for the German right. Okay. We'll do that. That'll give us 1 more construction factory here. Okay, casemate. think that one. Or that one. Maybe it was that one. Doing anti-tank upgrade right now, I believe. We're researching that. Well, let's do this, but we're going to spend the 25 to speed that along. Okay, heavy anti-aircraft direct support. Is that where we? Yeah, that's the one that's. Okay, I think that's what we just did. Yeah, we're doing this anti-tank upgrade, like I was saying. I think is what was required. Static AI, AA. We're ignoring trains for the moment. That's been researched. So we've got we have a bonus to get these done early. So let's do that. Keep coming here, which we're catching up on radio equipment fast. So we don't want to do add more there, I think, now. Looks like we're overproducing steel at the moment. Why are we overproducing of steel? We're importing a hell of a lot of it. Okay, is it part of Sweden? No, we're doing lots. No, we're not. Yes, we are. Steel back and forth. Okay. Now we're... Okay, well, let's... Well, now we're 9 up. Okay, that's good. I like the idea of the steel being something that you're producing, but it's still something of a wacky implementation. But I think this episode has gone on long enough. I want to thank you all for watching. Hopefully you've all liked the videos. If you're new around here, you made it this far, you might as well subscribe. And I love hearing your comments or reading them. So please post your comments below. See you next time for more, yes, even more Hearts of Iron. Okay, we're going to continue this. Don't worry, guys. Just making an episode break here because I'm lazy and don't do the bumper kind of thing. All right. Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 with the look at the current version of Black Ice for Hearts of Iron 4. But before we get into that, I want to thank Tim, Strongarm, Niagro, Timothy, Sir Toyjet, Gary, Garrett, Marcus, and Folk, and of course the great Hoffmanator for support over on Patreon. But everybody else, you just hit the like button, maybe post a comment, and yeah, if you're new around here, love to have you subscribe to the channel. But that's all I ask anybody to do, is just to like and comment, really. Okay, well, do we have a decision that we want to take here? Form the 1st Cavalry Division. Yeah, we'll do that, which will form up here. Okay. We're just... where, this is where we have anti-air. We don't have any down here, but we're going to wait for vents. Now we're going to come, instead of looking at what we need, we're going to come over here and just get more fighters. Put us... We just got efficient aluminum extraction. That was here. So energy cost is down and bauxite needed is down for aluminum, as opposed to the other option was much more output, +3 output per aluminum factory, but a lot more bauxite and energy, which might have been the choice, but I am still not sure on energy balance. Full input, synthetic fuel, energy down, costs there. Let's go with that. Have a healthier population. Now, back over here under the trade, which is where we also deal with production. Bauxite. Oh, Okay, let's... We're under iron. We need to be over under bauxite. Okay, yes, that's what I was looking for. So let's get another factory's worth here. There we go. That should put us in the positive for it. Okay, December, improved oil plants. But remember, in December, I wanted to come over here and do limited mobilization starting now, because it's going to take 30 days. So we're going to do limited mobilization during the winter here. And I forget what it was we just got, but it was an industrial one here. Search those. Okay, looks like, well, really not doing much shipyard stuff. Okay, let's see if, okay, so we have approximately, well, 49 spare engine plants. We have spare, yeah, I guess 84. Why is it 53? I don't understand that, but okay. 84 spare artillery plants, 30 spare tank production plants over our needs, 113 spare aircraft plants, and 30 spare shipyards for our needs capability. So our point of failure, it looks like, is tanks. So, if we come over here, because aircraft and tanks, I believe, and trucks, but at least trucks and tanks all need engine workshops. But we're closest here is the tank, so we're going to do the tank. It's not a bad idea to sell off the older stuff, Arno. I'm just a bit more worried about, you know, attrition with equipment. So I'm going to keep it around. Until I know better, I'm going to keep it around. Improved worker safety. Anti-tank upgrades. Okay. Do we have safer workers? Well, now I think we will do improvement there. And this one thing is building more radars would be good. Well, going back and forth on a lot of this. Okay. Well, the one we just did get was anti-tank upgrade. Oh, well, that maybe I should then do the 150 millimeter, or not 150, 50 millimeter gun. Yeah, that's a good one to do. Even the oldest rifles, well, okay, improved motorization, that's nice. Well, let's look, Arno. I mean, you have a good point, but okay. Well, we only have 30,000 or 35,000 extra rifles. Mostly carbine 98Ks, 8,000 on 22,000 VZ24s. Those are Czech Mausers. Yeah. These are pretty current weapons. We don't have a lot of old stuff. The VZ24 is an interwar, so it's a very similar. It's not a parts interchangeable Mauser, meaning you can't just take a part off the VZ24 and stick it on a Carabiner 98K. But they both use the same ammo, and it's the same basic training manual and same basic cleaning procedure and whatnot. So, not a lot. Okay, the Gewehr 95, those would be old, but there's only 2,400 of those. Now, what would actually be a huge number around, especially if you have the 98Ks, would be Gewehr 98s. They had hundreds of thousands of those. So, yeah. Okay, so we got improved motorization, which gets up those more factories. Now we're getting close to the war. That'll get us another naval dockyard, but we're really sort of ignoring the navies considerably. Okay. Let's go with 56 days. Yeah, let's try to get this going. Oh, we've almost caught up on horse transport. How nice. The slow grind. Yeah. Let's do medium artillery. It's in here somewhere. We have two more. Okay, well, get some more 110s in production. So far, we're doing pretty good on supply. The 1939 Erzincan earthquake. Don't know in Turkey. Okay. Earthquake in Turkey. Small treaty. Italy. Good. Okay. We have. Add a unit and add a unit. There's a. And we have the Condor. That is cool. So we are almost, well, we are actually in 1940. We could do better heavy fighters. We just got the Condor transport, but I think we're going to come over here and do the Condor naval bomber, which will give us a long-range naval bomber. Are we at war or something? Where are we getting this notification? Okay, well, what increase Panzer Force? We need more steel now. Okay. Hmm. It's raining outside. My God, it's raining. How are we doing for extra fighters now? Okay, mostly old stuff here. And improved construction. Nice. Is this one? Okay. Railway construction speed, that's really good. Weekly stability, that's very good. Because we're going to be doing things that are going to disrupt our stability. More factories online. I'm going to push it to maybe 90% of power use until I start building more. More power plants. We just added to the Panzer IVs. We're going to add to the Panzer III production. That's actually overstepped there. You come down to there. What do I care about Nepal? Why would I issue an ultimatum over Nepal? What's our 110? Okay, just 9 extra. Let's, as you can maybe sort of tell, I'm getting ready to battle here in the west with whoever might be opposing us. Truck workshops, yay! Was that one engine workshops, but whatever. Railway construction speed, that would be useful. Let's do transport trucks. What are we doing with? Okay, transport trucks, almost 800 extra. Where are the heavy trucks? They're in here somewhere, heavy transports. Oh, hell. I mean, we just deployed some divisions, but my God. We dockyard space. So did one of the big ships, another one's coming online here. Okay. Yeah, we're just going to keep doing submarines and transports here once we get the last Scharnhorst class. Now, I have not built radar stations. I was thinking about it earlier, but we're coming up and we're going to crush France early, but I guess we should build some internally too, because then I want to stick them along the coast. Let's go with Brandenburg. And up there. Okay. Improved ammo, very nice. Just got that one. Now, if you may wonder why I'm not researching the Kuba wagon. I know I've talked about this before, but not everyone watches my videos, and this is, or all of my videos. And this is one of the complaints that I have about Hearts of Iron in general and Black Ice specifically. What? And in chat here live, if you want to participate, we have the Stower 1500. Big four-door vehicle, looks like it's four-wheel drive. It's definitely an off-road sort of design. You know, it's a four-door, but you can see the doors thing. So it's probably easily accommodates 6 people. Okay. And here, this other Stower M12. Smaller vehicle. Has a little command flag on it there. And so, okay, we're going to go with off-road. Which do you think is, of these 3, the 2 Stowers and the VW Kuba wagon, which do you think are the best vehicles for light utility vehicles for World War II? You know, these aren't trucks that are carrying lots of weight. These aren't armored fighting vehicles. These aren't really even reconnaissance vehicles, though they get pressed into it. Really, for the Germans, it's really either motorcycles or armored cars or tanks. But I don't know if Arno or Crispin or anybody else is still out there. Which do you think, which vehicles are best? And if you can put in a why, I would really like to hear that. But pick something here to research. Yeah, we will. Yes, Arno is here, but do you have an opinion of which of those vehicles you think might be best? And why? Okay, he has, all right. You gotta watch these tricky Dutch people. They keep them along order. But why would... No, both are good. Okay. But I was asking which are better. Which is the best of them? I would agree that they're all good. Okay, well... let's go to just a universal one so we can look at this. And Arno's right in that they're both good. And here, okay. Why did the Germans use the Kübelwagen and not one of the two stowers? And I can tell you why. And no, I haven't looked at any documents. I don't know the stowers very well. Also, Tatra made some light utility vehicles. Mercedes made some light utility vehicles. Theirs were more off-road staff cars for generals that were... And they were very good, in my understanding. They made like 24 of them or something. They were expensive. And you see these two things? This and this? I think they're better than the Kübelwagen. Now, I'm not absolutely sure, but I think these are better than the Kübelwagen for the assigned roles that they have here. Why? Oh, why did they go for the Kübelwagen here? So, this IC cost of 2.25. Okay. This one earlier, 2.2. Okay, which, and here is 2.3. Why did they do this? Because in reality, this was fucking cheap to make. This is a two-wheel drive, flimsy, lightweight vehicle that you could spam out. So why does it cost more? I don't know, and I don't know if they know. Okay, reliability 60%, reliability 65%. I don't know between these vehicles. And then I get, okay, gamer, look, gamer, no, that's just eye candy immersion stuff. This is really just improving vehicles over time so they cost more. Gamer, don't ignore the label. No, that is wrong. Ignore the label. If the reason the Germans went to this is because they could build so many more of these so much cheaper, and they were good enough. This is one area where the Germans do the Russian sort of thing, or the American sort of thing. Build cheap and spam out. Cheap, quality that I don't know its reliability compared to other things. And but just you spam them out, and the idea is to have lots of them cheaply. Now, normally Germany is going for the best, trying to get this collector's value. Hi, Beam Slam. Well, probably the stowers probably have high collector's value, but because they're probably a lot rarer. But I don't know, because rarity doesn't necessarily mean value, because there's also demand, how much demand there is. So, and this is, some of the stuff I complain about, some of these going from this to this. The main reason Germany was changing their artillery, the main reason, at least in the 105 millimeter, was simplification of manufacture. There was, because I did look into it, there was one, and it may have been this one, that actually was an ammunition change. It was still a 105, but it was a little more cartridge behind it for a little bit greater range. But most of the changes, in like the 121 millimeter, 150, they also had a 170 millimeter gun. Most of the changes were manufacturer simplification and or making lighter weight so they're a little easier to handle for the artillery pieces. So instead of going to something that will probably be, okay, we'll look at it here, IC cost 7, IC cost 6.9. It should be going in the other direction, because even when they did up the performance by, I don't know, by like 10%, 15% of range, to increase effective range, they were still simplifying manufacture. And this is not just a black ice problem, but they're not correcting it. This comes from the whole sort of mentality of a lot of these games, is that as you go along, more cost, and you go, well, but gamer, they do more hard attack, more soft attack. Well, maybe they shouldn't, and especially here when I think they're working. Well, why don't they continue to improve Kubelwagen? Why don't you have a 4-wheel drive Kubelwagen and a 4-wheel drive all-wheel articulated, meaning when you turn the front wheels, they turn one way, and the back wheels turn the opposite way, so they're tighter turning, and more and more advanced, more and more better, more and more better, more and more better, more. Well, if you're trying to come here and look, this was basically a training vehicle, but yeah, it would function. It was I don't even know if it was really armored. It was definitely a metal body that was around people, but I literally don't know if it was armored. These early cars, reconnaissance cars, and they kept this in production throughout the war. But they had the 8 rad by the beginning of the war. They also had a 6 rad in here that was sort of a failure. And okay, these are better, more advanced, better fighting vehicles, and they were, as time went on, that you're modeling Germany and its improved wheeled reconnaissance. And so that is very legit coming through the war, that your fighting reconnaissance elements were getting better. And they were. Over time. So some of that stuff, and like we can look at particularly this one, tanks. They were getting, more complicated, more metal, more production time, more advanced, bigger guns. So yeah, and here I think, quite honestly, I have not, and because I partially don't want to delude come in and find out that they're doing, stupid things here. But I'm sort of trusting, maybe I shouldn't be, but that these are an attempt at modeling improvements of tanks compared to other tanks over time. So yes, in this field, you have it takes more resources to make a Panther than it does a Panzer III. I mean, more steel, more rubber, more. And it takes more production time, because the Panther's engines are highly complicated. They are reasonably complicated, but they're also machined a lot to get rid of excess weight. So it takes longer to make them. There's more machining cuts on them. So to have, the volume of compression in the cylinders and all that, to have the horsepower in there, but then trying to reduce the metal down as much as possible to keep it from being an overweight beast, or even more of an overweight beast than it was, so that you do have, more complications and more effective fighting power. Absolutely. You do have that there. And here, then if you're adding in jet engines and you're doing, But even without that, you're doing more and more complications to production, to design elements, and to performance, speed or heavier bomb loads, better reliability. So yes, in tanks and aircraft, yeah, you're right to progressively go down and increase, production cost. And I'm not. These are two different ones, but they 36.7, 36.7 seem to have the same production cost, and maybe they should between these two models. I'm not enough of a aircraft geek, not disrespecting people, but you know what I mean, to go in and know how, what the changes were, because sometimes changes might just be bigger flaps or bigger whatever that don't effectively change in any significant way, material used, extra 3% of aluminum for the aircraft or something, or it's maybe even no additional production costs, but just change some of the, like I say, flaps or sizes of some of the wing, the control surfaces or whatever on it to make an improvement in, flight performance without being a real an industrial production cost performance. That could be very, very real. I'm not discounting, minor changes there too, but generally speaking, you're going along the lines of more complication, more development, more cost of doing things. So, but when you have stuff that's so clearly like the Kuba wagon, like the artillery, that it was more simple, less. Oh, this is interesting. They have 170 millimeter after that. God, I don't know. Okay, what a beam slam, not particularly just except return from an intercepted mission over Belgium pesky RAF. Okay. All right. I don't know if you're playing War Thunder or something else, but cool. It looks like we have the border more or less sealed up with those Dutch people here. Yeah, we're getting there. We're in February. We're getting there. We've almost got our alliance set up with Italy, which historically probably should have been a year or two ago, but well. Okay, alliance with Italy and 50 millimeter gun. Right. Now, oh, well, it's does that 50 millimeter gun unlock torsion bar suspension? Okay. Let's find torsion bar suspension. Are we researching? I thought we had or were already. Nope, we hadn't. There it is, torsion bar suspension. 21 days. Okay, well, we're doing that now. Economic assistance, Italy will have to wait. Okay, protection zone. What is this? 8 days. German Reich. German Slovakia Treaty. Ribbentrop Pact, 20 days. Okay. And then solution for Danzig, 8 days. So I think we're going to wait till March. So that gives us about 20 to 30 days for some other national focus. Waffen SS expansion, 14 days. That would fit into here. Our time zone, our time frame. No, we're getting closer to war, Arnold. We're getting closer. We get 4 more oil in Lower Austria plus 2 synthetic refineries for 56 days. Okay, that's going to take too long. 28 days. We can do this later. 28 days removes, go to works. Czech Republic gains, go to works, grants, factory output 5% for Germany. Okay, 35 days, 28 days. Okay, 28 days, 32 days. Okay, 28 days for that just about fits in our time frame here. And so now that we've taken our time, we still have, what is template? Okay, well, let's go systematically down. I want to see all their templates here, because I don't think they're the same. They're not the same, but that's fine. Just so long as they're divisions and not some sort of lightweight brigade. That's fairly lightweight, but I think it'll do. Okay. Tank workshops, very good. Was that one we just completed there. A year to get those done, so we don't want to start them now. We want to do something a bit more efficient. Research time 39. Okay, submerge arc welding 64 days. Well, production efficiency growth 5%. Tank production capacity 1. Dockyard 1. 1940, we're in wartime steel industry. Okay, what is wartime steel industry? Technology grants the following: organic metals, and artillery production capacity +1 per plant, steel output for each steel plant +1, steel refinery, construction speed 5% faster. Okay. Improved electrical grid, which will get us 3% factory or electricity, but it's a bit more vulnerable. Chemical industry improved. IG Farben, obviously. It's the main company. Lack of resource penalty, -1%. Overall factory output, 3%. Supply in controlled states and core states, up 4%. That's nice. Synthetic refinery, construction speed and rubber refinery, up 5%. Improved. Okay, so here for 127 days, we'll get per synthetic rubber factory output of +2 and faster production. Up here, indirect coal liquefaction, so more fuel. Okay, textile polymers, nylon, and etc. Cost down, maintenance equipment cost down, garrison. That's reducing costs down a lot. Okay, that's just because we went the other path. Vacuum sealed foods, food decay down 10%. All right. Well, I think mm, I think this will help us. We'll do that. Here a minute. How is the plan regarding Scandinavia taking Norway? Poorly at the moment. We have Dietl hanging out here in the rather flat area of Kiel with his forces, and I'm wondering what to do with them. I'm thinking it's going to be a post fall of France attack. I'm thinking that. My Norwegian friends want me to invade Norway because otherwise they wouldn't have cool things to talk about World War II. They'd be sort of like Sweden and going, yeah, nothing happened. So it gives them, you know, all this talk that they can talk about. Okay. But we got to keep them happy. Let them have their heroes and their villains. Yeah, I don't think I'm invading Britain. I haven't built up enough of an invasion fleet kind of thing or airborne either way to do that. So I'm not planning on doing a Britain invasion, and so I'm looking at pushing in. Okay. Yeah, we're going to spend 100 points to get that done quickly. And I should have both mountain divisions for doing, you know, I didn't want that. I wanted this. For going after, you know, stuff up in the north, and infantry divisions for going after stuff in the south. That should hopefully be good enough to do that and walk over Denmark. Afghanistan trade. I know these are random, but still. Okay, well, let's see about another. Building radars there and there. These are mostly I'm looking as internal radar. Hmm. Well, I want to sort of, because we can, as time goes on, we can make it, you know, add to it and make it bigger and bigger. But right now, obviously, only level 1 over Italy. No, I think we'll go. We'll go straight up here. Well, we're actually positive on horse transport for once. What do you know? We're positive on a lot of things. Okay, well, then I think I want More fighter aircraft to control the skies. That means I need aluminium. Be here. Germany should hand. Oh, there we go. Now we have torsion bar. Over to Denmark. I know you're sort of prodding Eric, who was here at the beginning of the stream, but I guess is not here, or he would be screaming and yelling by now, or a toy jet. But realistically, you know, Faroes Islands, are they still even Danish? I know Denmark gives up Iceland. You know, I really think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Beam Slam, I really think the Danish would be most happy to give up and just, you know, not like, you know, kill themselves, not that way, but just sort of like, yeah, we're no longer a country. We're just like, yeah, dude, you know, EU something or other, give up, you know, any of that stuff, and we'll just go back and, you know, just sort of give up on everything. That's my impression of Denmark. They, you know, I know you recently, your older queen abdicated, and you've got a new king, but you really just are embarrassed to be your own country. You know, that's my opinion. You know, correct me if I'm wrong. You know, I'll stand correction. If you think Danish people are like, you know, happy to be Danish and really want to be Danish. Oh, and you tell me, yeah, I'm sure 20% of the population of Denmark does care about that, but I seriously don't believe most of them do. Again, I could be wrong. Okay, well now we're going to get those things, which will now. Hey, Nico, just be part of Germany. Well, that's what I just said, Nico. Just be part of the EU. Like to be a small country, not. Oh no, it's not a small country being not harming anybody. You're just embarrassed to be Danish. You know, you're trying to import other people, but no, Nico, one definition of war, one of the definitions, an acceptable definition, is politics by other means. One definition of politics is warfare by other means. Okay, so the German Empire, I want to specifically say that the German Empire, yes, it's under a Kaiser at first, but it's really a creation of a politician called Bismarck. You know, they're doing sort of a lot of little small wars and growing the German Empire. The German Empire. And then, you know, in World War One, they try to, you know, let's not do a small war, let's do a big war and fight everybody and grow the German Empire by conquest. and that doesn't work out. And then you go, well, that didn't work out last time. Let's try it again, because we just got to try it again. And now, after twice of warfare, I go, I think they all just sat around, the leaders of Germany sat around and go, this conquest by war isn't working out for us. What's another term for war? Oh, politics. It's warfare by other means. So let's come out and wave peace flags at everybody, and peace, peace, peace. But we're just going to take them all over. And we have to hide the name German. They and definitely not use the name Reich. But we got to hide the name German. So what do we'll call it Europe. European Union. That's it. European Union. We'll just politically get them all into the European Union, and Germany will organize up Europe to German efficiency. And so, yeah, didn't I just say, Denmark just doesn't want to be a country anymore? They just want to be part of that. In contrary, we define ourselves as a minor country. Well, that's because you're embarrassed to being a country. So you're a minor country. Yeah, that's my opinion of a lot of the Europeans. They're embarrassed. I'm sure many of you have seen. Okay, our policy before World War II was neutrality, not armed neutrality like in World War I. So easy to grab for Germany. Yeah, but I'm sure you've seen the photo. I know it's been published a few times, mostly around the 4th of July, but other times on the Discord server, my Discord server, the channel's Discord server, however you want to look at it. There's links on the YouTube channel and other things around if you want to find it, or just post a request for it, and somebody will link it to you, myself or others. There's the picture of the American, probably in Florida, just because we're in what looks to be like hurricane weather, holding the American flag in one hand and a shotgun in the other out there. Yeah, I want to see the most outrageous but spontaneous, somebody just sort of doing it. Sort of yay for my country, for European countries in the Discord server. The most, and not to be a hate, and please not Nazi, but can be, what is a modern, a post-World War II, because yeah, I know the Nazis hang around, but a post-World War II, like, yay for this is outrageous Germany-ness. Not like we're conquering somebody else, but being German or being French or being Danish. What's the most outrageous post those somewhere on the Discord server. Photos, images of somebody doing something that's like super, again, not a government sponsored like parade. I'm just saying somebody on their own, like I'm picturing, because I know I've seen some English guy basically wearing a British Union flag as a suit, with hats and all this stuff, but just the most patriotic, somebody coming up with super Italian whatever, and what it looks like. I want to see what national self-expression from around Europe looks like, how they make themselves look super whatever they are. Being a province of EU would destroy Denmark. Well, I think that's the plan. There would be big super state which would pursue destruction of original traditions. Absolutely, that's the plan, because they believe that nationalism and original nationalism and supranationalism and whatnot caused World War I and World War II. They believe that. That's why they're embarrassed to have nationalism. So they believe nationalist and nationalism is a negative thing, as in like National Socialism, but socialism be good, so internationalism, superstatism is good. So I believe most Danish citizens, at least openly, um, you know, believe that kind of stuff. Let me continue. Um, and fight for the idea of a new small brown European. I don't know. Did you mean new small brown European citizen without any traditions? Oh, maybe you did mean brown. We kind of had similar people during socialistic era. Luckily, they didn't have majority in government. I truly hate they suck my nation dry. If it was up to me, the EU would be disbanded already. Absolutely. See, I am a relatively strong proponent in NATO. I am somewhat accepting of an idea of the common market, the European common market kind of idea, in which mostly just trade barriers are brought down. So that if you're um, making cookies in Belgium, they're sending a truck into France is no different than sending it to some other city in Belgium. Just if you're just making, something simple like, that you don't have to have a lot of import export licenses for shipping cookies around a region, that kind of thing. So a common market, which is different than a common economic policy, meaning Germany may subsidize their steel production and France not, or something, or there's that kind of thing. So yeah, a lot of that kind of pitch from the armed forces. We love our flag, raise it. Okay, yeah, but let me see the most outrageous armed forces Danish flag that you can come up with. Hello, Tinky. It's been a while. Unified market and alliance block is great. Centralization from Brussels, not as much. So yeah, that, and Margaret Thatcher, which I greatly respect. Yeah, I know some of my Scottish friends, the things that she didn't do right, and no one's perfect, but I really do respect Margaret Thatcher. She was in support of getting into the common market and whatnot. I don't think she would have been in support of the idea of what the EU is becoming. And please understand, and I say this, look, I know that these videos, and I look at the stats, they'll get maybe more people watching them after than watch it live, and definitely with the episodes, I mean, that's just the replay of the live stream, but the episodes will get, 5 times as many views as, or some number like that, as out there. So I know I'm generally speaking to hundreds of people, and that's I guess all that I'm allowed to speak to. I know some people, get bored of Let's Plays and watching people do games, and I have been thinking about trying to make more tighter, shorter, edited videos on topics, but I do also believe that there's suppression by YouTube and whatnot. I have good reason over time, and I don't know if old switches that had been really negative to me, that I know aren't as negative now, but I don't know if they're fully turned off or how it all works. But I've been trying to warn people. And I recently had a friend who lives in Ukraine and is Ukrainian and whatnot. Oh, hey, yeah, we're just negotiating with the EU to become an EU partner. We're not going to join NATO. What the fuck? A political union is more deep than any military alliance. That would be more scary to the Russians, a truly EU Ukraine. And do these people now? Yes, I can understand you wanting to fight and die and not to become a region within modern Greater Russia, and doing so to fight and die to become a region of Uber Germany or European Union. But there is no functional difference in the English language. Yeah, I know England is left. There's still Ireland, but they speak English there. They also have Irish Gaelic, but yeah, I know they speak English there. There is no functional difference between United and Union. Okay, when we're because there's the United Auto Workers, which is the name of a union, a labor union. So, yeah, we can sort of say union or labor union is use it. But when we're talking with states, there is no functional difference between United and Union. So the European Union is equivalent of United America. Yeah, I know the United States of America, but United America and United Europe. There is no functional difference in those names. It is not like, oh, there's a federal and a confederal, because those, confederal and federal, it's mostly a distinction of degree between a confederacy and a federacy. We don't normally use the term federacy, but it would be the appropriate thing, a confederacy and a federal system and a confederal system. Those are sort of distinctions about how much central power, because the United States, everyone, started out as a confederacy. That didn't work, and then we created our current Constitution, which is a federal government. Because it was originally the Articles of Confederation was the original, I guess, term for the Constitution, was the Articles of Confederation between sovereign states, former colonies of Britain, sovereign states that formed used the Articles of Confederation. And that was just too chaotic, too separate, too whatever. So they got together, they realized the problems, and they got together, and then they set up with the current Constitution of the United States. So anybody out there, Europeans, understand. Now, you may like and want to have the United States of Europe and have, running who's going to be president of that. And that's going to be, now maybe more of a bureaucratic state, meaning the president may be just sort of a ceremonial title that gets to go cut the ribbon, and an unelected minister of defense that just works through the hierarchy of the European Ministry of Defense and has all the power. Trust me, there are people who, and this goes back to at least the 1920s, who really believe the volatile politicians should not be running the show. It should be the bureaucrats. So some of them want to, bureaucrats of road management and road safety and bridge safety, all of one sort of agency. What does a politician know about building roads? It should be us bureaucrats. We're the experts. And then the bureaucrats of war, they'll be the experts of war and not the politicians. Hey, patriotic Brit. And so please understand, and this is one thing that I know a lot of people, because they come out and chant it, death to America, and oh, what does that matter? They're just people with towels on their heads in a desert somewhere. Well, they mean it. There was, I am not for just the idea of just blanket, let's just go kill civilians. But recently, within the last 30 days, there looked to be 100,000 plus people in this big, huge avenue in Sana'a. And they were in there chanting, and I'm sure they were all adult males, or 99% adult males. There may have been a few children males. I'm sure there weren't women. Video of them, and they were chanting death to America. I take them at their word. And to me, because they're out there chanting death to America, and the only thing that's keeping them from doing that is that they don't have nuclear missiles that they could push buttons and kill America. Because I believe if they had nuclear weapons, they'd be pushing the buttons and killing America. So I believe that big crowd out there, because I also believe a lot of them are because the soldiers are sort of what we might think of as militia in the current Yemeni civil war. These are the Houthis, as we call them, the Houthis. That's sort of one of their tribal names, I believe, not necessarily their political organization name. That would have been a perfectly legit to me. Now maybe you're going to go, "Oh my God, gamer, you're a madman, a monster." But that would have been perfectly legitimate cluster bomb target and just like obliterate all those people. Because I don't go out and chant death to Yemen. Okay? Now I might be death to the Houthis because the Houthis are attacking us. And because they're calling for my death. Because they're saying death to America. And I'm an American. And so we, the United States, tolerate these people. But when someone comes out and says who they are, and I understand that there would be internal into America, and there would be diplomatic blowback, and there's lots of reasons why not to just, instead of, because we have been and or are striking some of the launch sites and missile production sites that are attacking U.S. shipping it out in international waters, and we had not been at least significantly interfering with Yemeni internal politics, their civil war. It's more Saudi Arabia. Yeah, I know we sell weapons to Saudi Arabia, but people sell weapons to other people. That doesn't matter. So really, the U.S. has not been, to my knowledge, significantly active in the war. And yes, a few CIA spooks are probably around, but that doesn't mean we're significantly active. We're just sort of monitoring the situation. But so when Hitler says who he is in his books, in his speeches, in his writing, believe him, okay? Because he was. There's others out there that I believe them in who they are. Now, it's maybe, whether it's internal or external blowback, consequences that they choose not to, that they may have a nuclear bomb, they may have nuclear missiles, China, or something like this, and whatnot. And they may choose not to attack, either Taiwan or some other place. And so, okay, we know it, but if they thought they could get away with it, they would do it. If they thought the negative reactions, whatever they would be, internally, externally, would not be so bad, they would do it. So when they say European Union, their model in so many ways is the United States. And that your state of Denmark is going to be like the state of Mississippi. Okay? It'll have a certain flavor to it because the state of Mississippi, even with the various demographics moving around, because some of these states, maybe more Alabama or whatever, but some of these states are getting car factories because high levels of union up here, and particularly in Michigan and Detroit, have moved the automobile factories down here, and then you get Yankees or whatever coming down here, and you get Latin Americans moving north into America. And so there are demographic changes, but Alabama, trust me, the people, not just the weather, is different than the people of Maine, okay? The people of Maine and the people of Minnesota here, I was thinking also Wisconsin, both cold places. They're different sets of people. They're not the same. Now, Chinese looking at them, they'll all look the same because they won't notice the difference because they're a radically different culture. So yes, the Danish will be different than the Germans under the EU, but you're all just going to be that. And so when they tell you these things, sometimes they say it out loud, like calling it the EU. and just sort of hope you don't notice. Sometimes they don't. They say it very quietly, but that is what they're doing. Now, you can think that's good, because I do think we have way too much centralization in the current United States government. The federal government has way too much, not power as in ultimate power, but too much interference going on, too much federal regulations for things that should be up to the states. But the idea that we're united as one, I do think is good. So yes, definitely, and we could go into it, I'm not going to go here, but devolve a lot of power, constitutionally says should be the states. But, back to the states administration, we do not need a federal Department of Education. Ever since, and you can go look at the stats, ever since in the 60s under the Great Society program, creating the Department of Education, you can see a constant and continuing downward trend nationally of the state of education in the United States since the creation of the Department of Education. Now, of course, some people will say, oh, it would be even worse without that. And what, don't all these states need money for education? Well, okay, one, you could not tax them so much at the federal level and let the states tax their people, but there are poorer and there are richer states. And so if you want to give money for education to it, all you have to do is just give money to each state has its own Department of Education already. Just give them money. Now, some states, I don't know, Illinois, are probably corrupt, and all of the administrators in the Department of Administration will get a quote-unquote company car that'll be a Mercedes or a Tesla or something, and so they'll all get a free car out of it instead of helping the people because it's a corrupt state. And it's, so they'll just do that. But that's up to that state. People continue to elect corrupt leadership in the state of Illinois. I think in the last 20 years, more than half of the former governors of the state of Illinois have gone to prison. Okay, I mean, when more than half of you leave your governor, you go to prison. More than half of them do. That tells you that it's corrupt. So, yeah, so some cases it's going to be corrupt, but the people seem to like it because they seem to keep voting these corrupt politicians into power. Other states are like Maine are actually a lot less corrupt. So, you can do this. So I'm not saying we shouldn't spend equal amount of money. Now, maybe I think we should also spend less, but I'm not saying that we shouldn't spend money nationally on education, but we do not need a Department of Education. There is, nationally, federally. Leave it up to the states. They'll work it out each themselves. That is what you're going to have in Europe. You will eventually have a European Department of Education. And they will make the rules for every school in the European Union. That will be the outcome. I don't even have to, it will be over time. If there isn't already some sort of Department of Education, there will be an effective one someday. And every EU country education will be controlled by that, because it will be for the greater good. Now, maybe if you believe nationalism was the cause of millions and millions of people dying, World War I, World War II, I wouldn't call it nationalism that was the cause. There's other causes. But if you believe that nationalism and all this stuff causes huge amounts of Europeans to die, and you need to erode national character and nationalism, that's what the whole EU project is about. I interacted with one of the original founders way back when. I didn't meet him. It was through letters. But then I know I've mentioned him. I won't go into this now. And then I've read more about him since then. He and others believed these things to be true, and how to keep from having another catastrophe. He and some of the others weren't really communists. They may be socialists or social welfarists or whatever, but they believe nationalism was a disease that causes millions of people to get killed. So they were looking for a way out, and they understand that one of the things that promotes nationalism is national education systems. The idea of having a national flag up in your school, whether it's outside and or in your classroom, that promotes nationalism. Nationalism be bad, so we've got to erode that. So, replace it with the EU flag that no one really cares about, no one has any nationalistic feelings towards, so no one's going to fight for it or fight against it. It's just going to sort of be there. That will be your future if you continue down this road. And you may think it is the best way. Like I say, there are people that thought and do and still think that is the best way, because however bad the EU may be, the alternative is worse. And maybe it is. But understand that. And so if you vote that way, that is your future. Now let's go back and look at everything. My point is that national state stay this way. We are too different to be pressed under one government. Yeah, Tinky, I would agree with you, but like I say, there's people that are going to oppose that idea. Patriotic Brit, hi, my friend. You should hang out here more with us. I do miss you a bit. Rather be dead than part of the United States of Europe. Yes, well, that is a very common British feeling, and I think that is good for you. States in the U.S. is hardly comparable to European countries with thousands of years or so of history. Well, yeah, you're absolutely right. America primarily has been and still is culturally people from here. Okay, that's we are a remnant. Yeah, we've had our Poles and our Italians and our German immigrants in the 19th century, and a few trickling into the 20th century and the 21st century. Though I hope we get rid of most of them, because most of them are here illegally. I'm talking about the ones that legally came here. I'm talking about the illegal ones. The flood in from Latin America we should get rid of because they're here illegally. That's the point, is get rid of the illegal ones. We are mostly, and the trickle of Japanese and Chinese and later Vietnamese Americans, they're integrating into an Anglo culture. So we are much more similar to each other than the Europeans. But again, the people, and in the first 200 years of America, we've had one civil war. Now, it was super bloody because, hey, Americans are determined fighters. So when we're fighting ourselves, we fight very determinedly, and it's very bloody. And we've had one real war conflict. In that amount of time, in the same period of time, that 200 years, you had the whole French Revolutionary War, Napoleonic era conflicts. You had random sort of Franco-Prussian wars going off, and you had two world wars. So yeah, you're absolutely right. It's not comparable, but that's the complaint that the anti-nationalists make, is your constant conflict from all these different cultures are going to continue to cause wars. So you have to fight against it through re-education, if you will. Okay, Rega, you need to enforce neutrality of schools. No influence by commercial companies, and schools should provide decent standard education. Provide titles, skills, knowledge. That's your opinion, Ragar, that you shouldn't have commercial companies in schools. Now, I might agree with you, but maybe the people of Oklahoma want to hire companies, and have no government schools. They want to hire the Coca-Cola company to run and manage schools. And that's their choice, if the people of Oklahoma choose it. Now, I think it's going to be a silly choice, but maybe it'll work out. Maybe having General Motors run the schools of a state, maybe that state would have higher education levels than any government schools. Maybe. And the idea is, instead of having nationalized standard over over the whole of the United States, is to have 50 different standards, and then we can compare them. And so they can do things differently. And yeah, some states, there's nobody effing there, and it's so spread out and rural, and there's just a few cities along the coast. And other states, like California, which has the largest population, with big mega cities, with big mega school departments, that there's, I don't know, 500,000, 1 million students in school every single day. In that, they're going to need two different systems of schools and run different. So even if we come up with the best system for one, it might be fucked up for another. So to have the 50 different health health economies, 50 different school systems instead of overall standardization. And yes, you'll get some school systems that will be corporate bucks will come in and bribe all the principals to put in Coke machines and not Coca-Cola machines, crack Coke machines into schools to amp the students up or something. Okay, well then we can go, man, Illinois schools are fucked up. We shouldn't do that. Let them fuck up. And so that's sort of the beauty of America. Just thought the thought of U.S. control makes you shudder. Okay, patriotic. Federal school system isn't necessarily bad. It needs to be heavy regulated. No, see, that's the problem. Regulation, heavy regulation, that's the problem. Because, Milei, the president of Argentina, gave a beautiful speech in Davos in this last week, that it's just about like a 5-minute speech or something, or maybe 10-minute speech. And he talked about the world and history, and my God. And now I was listening to a simile, I know the translator had the speech in front, at least a copy of this, the Spanish speech to help him translate the thing quickly and going through. But damn, it was a beautiful speech. And Elon Musk retweeted it in total on his Twitter account. And it talked about his talking about how lack of regulation has made everything so much better in history in the last few years, in the last 100 years over the previous few thousand years. No, it should not be so heavily regulated. Federal school system is bad, because you do know that let's just put me in charge of the European Union school system. We will ban all teaching in all languages other than English. You will all learn in English. Now, I didn't say you can't be taught German, but if you're teaching science, if you're teaching math, if you're teaching economics, you will all learn it in English. You will all speak English. All road signs will be in English. Everything will be in English. You must speak English. All packaging on all materials, everything will be English. I'm sure you'll all agree with my heavy regulation that everything will be in English in education systems or in society-wise. You'll all agree with me because I am right. About the history of the Danish flag. The EU was created exactly with the main goal of present war in Europe. If trading and have interconnected economy, wars are less likely. That was a belief, not a fact. Trading and have interconnected economies, wars less likely. That is a belief. That is not necessarily a fact. It's a fact that that's what they believe. But that is a Marxist view, not a communist, but a Marxist view and understanding of history. Marx believed economies economic competition is what drives history. I believe it is never the primary, and often secondary or trinary or way down on the list. And we're going to be seeing in the next 20 years if that holds true. We're going to see the question is, and I know we don't know the answer, but I believe that if China invades Taiwan, and I may be wrong about this, but I believe that if China invades Taiwan, the U.S. will sever economic relations with mainland China, meaning stop all trade. I think the United States is working at making that possible, but by disentangling ourselves with direct trade with China as much as possible. The question is, does China believe that, if they invade, and I think prior to Ukraine and what we did with blocking out most trade with Russia, not all trade, I know we still trade with Russia, over invasion of Ukraine. And I think China saw Europe and America doing that with Russia and realized, oh shit, if we were, because I think they were getting ready to invade before the Ukraine war broke out, the main thing a few years ago. They were getting ready to invade Taiwan. Not that they would have invaded by now, but they were seriously getting ready to invade Taiwan. I do highly believe that they've recalculated that if they were to invade, successfully or unsuccessfully, invade Taiwan, it would mean interrupting trade, probably with the EU, and very, very likely with the United States. That would throw China into chaos. Now, it would also throw the U.S. into chaos, but both parties, both the the Biden administration and the Trump administration, to me, look united on the because you saw Nancy Pelosi going to Taiwan. So the question is does China believe that we would stop trade with China over an invasion of Taiwan? Yes or no? I don't know if that's the case. And then would they still invade Taiwan if they knew it would meant interruption of trade? And we're going to see if that happens. But that is a belief, not a fact, because we have not yet here, because you guys have got me off topic again of playing the game, but we had huge amounts of trade between National Socialist Germany and the Soviet Union. Hitler still invades. It doesn't even slow him up in his thinking. And there was huge amounts. Germany was setting up Soviet industry. The German, or the standard Soviet anti-tank gun is a licensed copy of the Pak-36 that the Germans set up the Soviet factory. The only significant change was upping the caliber from 37 millimeters to 45 millimeters, but it is a licensed copy of, and the Germans helped set the factory up. The Germans, I think it was BMW, but maybe it's the Zundap or whatever, one of the motorcycle companies, that standard German motorcycles, Germany sets up, this is, after Hitler's regime is in power, sets up the Soviet factory, main factory for military motorcycles, and puts it in, and it is, again, a direct copy of a German motorcycle that the Germans established the factory in. The Germans sell to the Soviets um, the steel rolling machines that allow them to make the KV and heavier series of tanks. They literally could not have made the KV tanks without German assistance. And again, this assistance is happening sometime roughly between, I don't know, 1937 and 1941. So the KV and the T-30, maybe the T-34, but definitely the KV series of tanks would not have been able to make in production at that time frame, maybe 5-10 years later, if they had built the intermediate stage of the steelmaking without direct German assistance of Germany making the machines and transporting them and setting them up in the Soviet Union. And of course, to do this was all in payment for food shipments, oil shipments, other resource shipments going into Germany. Hitler still invades. That's just some counterweight evidence to this trade makes more war less likely. I mean, that's a belief. I agree with you that that's a belief. That's exactly what they thought before everyone was so economically interconnected and alliances drag countries into war. Yeah, impossible. You're right, Uragar. A lot of people believe that. The idea is not realized at the time. It was a national state against each other. Hey, Zizi, how you doing? We tried the idea with Russia, but Putin is like Hitler. There it doesn't work, of course, but the EU was too late to realize. Well, and Russia is so large it can have an internal economy for most consumer goods. But also, I think Putin's calculus was that it was going to be a very short war and the sanctions weren't going to be very heavy. I bet you $1 million that if Putin knew what the state would be today, the state of the situation today. Now, of course, things may turn around in 6 months and all of it collapse and all Putin wins. But if he knew what it was going to be the state today, he would have not approved the invasion of Ukraine. Combination of the because I don't think he was willing. I think he thought Europe was going to keep getting the natural gas in through the pipelines. I think he thought Europe would be weak and just sanction a few oligarchs and a few other bullshit stuff, and he'd have all of Ukraine, and it would just be over. So I really think that he gambled and lost. We're talking about the true Republic of China, sort of, very. Nationalism beats economic interest. Again, that's why they want to destroy nationalism in Europe. It turned into the Winter War after a fashion. Yes, you're not entirely wrong. 14 days war like Finland in 39. That's sort of what he was thinking. Whether he thought of conquering all of Ukraine or just conquering sort of the Donbass like he's done, but putting in a puppet in Kiev, a pro-Russian puppet. Russian victory, but with heavy losses. Well, in my opinion, Ukraine has already won the war. We just have to stop the fighting. Now, the borders may not be what Ukrainians want the borders to be, but Kharkov here and Kiev will be Russian free. Winning the war doesn't mean necessarily mean taking back Crimea and taking back the border to Rostov and taking back Mariupol and every single little lost territory. Winning the war doesn't necessarily mean that. They've won the war and that they are not Russian dominated. In 2018, I calculated Russia can economically separate from the rest of the world if it needs. So the EU officials had weird brain fart. Selling gas through Nord Stream 2 to the US for a sensible price would hurt the Russian economy more. Yeah. So, yeah, economics, and especially, if you look at economics in the modern monetary sense, in the, say, 19th and 20th century, in the industrial sense, and in the pre-industrial world, in the sort of food and basic resource sense, do you have enough food to feed your people and go to war, because you take soldiers off the farm and you put them into war, into the military, is a factor of consideration for warfare and conflict. Yes, once in a while you can get the upset, some little minor power with some either genius move or genius leader take out a larger power. And I'm just thinking, different feudal lords taking on each other. But mostly, yeah, economics is a factor that either, allows things, but we can definitely see Agincourt or Cressy, in which the economically inferior army, and that the cost to economically maintain it, build it, whatever, defeats the economically superior army there. English longbowmen versus very expensive knights on very expensive horses that come. So sometimes it is not the telling factor, and economics is an important factor in allowing things to happen, but it's not the cause. Yeah, you could say Putin's loss, not a Ukraine victory, but yeah, but they've won their defensive war. It's actually interesting that the Cold War West absolutely demand that Russia would limit the number of military forces in the territory of Ukraine, and nowadays it's Russia wanting the same. Yeah, there was definitely a switch there. Well, I think we're going to end this episode here. I know we got way off topic. Hope it was interesting. I do, as you can tell, I like talking about these topics as much as I like playing the game. I like playing the game too, but so thanks everyone. I hope you've enjoyed. Please post your comments below. You can tell me why I'm wrong. Like, I'm disagreeing with Beam Slam and Rhaegar to some degree on some of these points. And I know I'm sure I'm wrong on some things. I may not know what it is at the moment, but I'm sure I am wrong on some stuff. So please tell me, not that just that I'm wrong, but why that I'm wrong. So thanks everyone. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron. All right, guys. Well, I think I need to give my throat a bit of a rest. It's been fun, nice 3 hours hanging out with you. And I say we because I hope Arno and maybe even Ari, maybe after church, if he gets home, we can play some War Thunder tomorrow. And you guys can hang out and chat, because I'll chat with you while blowing up tanks as well. So thank you all. Really do appreciate it. And I am going to be streaming Combat Mission. What's the tomorrow? What is? What's on Discord here? The Combat Mission tomorrow. Where is it? Final Blitzkrieg, Combat Mission Final Blitzkrieg. And then again, it is going to be released on the 25th. Tea time. I'm going to be streaming it again for Slytherin. There. And then, of course, we'll be back next weekend with more Hearts of Iron and more War Thunder. And we got to blame the chat, Arno, for not getting to the war. I really thought we were today, but we didn't. Yeah, well, we're comparing viewpoints and all that. No, I really enjoy it. Beam Slam and Rhaegar and Arno and Ari. Who else is easy? Who's maybe still around? Patriotic Brit, who might be still over on YouTube. Tinky and everyone, and Nico. Yeah, no, I have my views. I know I really love hanging out with you guys. Some of the stuff I'm doing is for fun. Some of the stuff I'm trying to give warnings on what I know is coming by what's going on. Yeah, you arrived too late. Yeah, well, you can watch it later. Yeah, the CM titles, combat mission titles, are 50% off now for the ones that are currently released. I don't think Final Blitzkrieg will have that sale price. So if you're interested in the game, you can get it at a very good price now. They normally don't discount the things that's just coming up to release, but we need more. We need to murder Poland in quick and Vic. Yep, we will. We will take Poland out. So thanks everyone.